Scott was a shy man in his mid-20s who spent a lot of time with the same group of friends and mostly kept to himself. On a Thursday night out, Scott met a strange but attractive girl who charmed him into taking the party to a more private place. Once he was in the car and ready to get to her house, he blacked out. When he woke up, he was living his worst nightmare. I went out with some friends to a new bar we decided to check out. There was this girl there. I generally don't flirt like that on a night out, but she had a different personality at first glance that I just can't describe and couldn't resist. We got out of the bar to go to her house, but I blacked out on the way there. I woke up in complete darkness with a massive headache and no idea of where I was. I'm sure a lot of you know what this feels like. I tried to remember what was going on for a minute, feeling the floor and anything else that was around me. I felt around for a while until my hand finally hit something familiar. I stood up carefully and slid my glasses onto my face. I felt my breath get stuck in my throat and hurt it for a second when I realized what kind of situation I was in. I was in a small clearing in the middle of dark woods. My watch, my phone, my wallet, and my keys were all gone, and there was barely any light because of the trees' density. I couldn't see a path or any part of the floor. I tried to take some steps, but immediately placed my foot wrong in a branch and almost twisted my ankle, so I stopped. How did I end up here? Where the hell am I? What happened? I was starting to feel nervous, a panic attack making its way up from the deepest parts in me. I tried to calm myself down and think about what happened and where I last remember being. Maybe that would give me a clue as to where I was. From what I could remember, I went on a night out in Glasgow with some friends. We bar hopped for a while, which is what we liked to do until we found one we felt like settling down in. When we did, we took the only table we could find, and we started having a good time, chatting, telling jokes, laughing, and dancing a little bit. I remember dancing by myself while the drink was starting to take effect a little, when this other girl started joining me. She was a little strange, but in an interesting and attractive way, so I went along with it. We danced and talked for a while, until she asked me if I wanted to go somewhere else. I hesitated since I had never done anything like that, but I was there to have fun, so why not? I said yes. We finished our drinks and we left the bar. The last thing I remember was waiting for the Uber she called to take us home, and then nothing else. From then on, it's all dark, until I woke up in the woods. I didn't understand why whoever did this went to all the trouble of dragging me to the middle of the woods just to rob me, but I was starting to have a feeling that the universe was against me. The sudden downpour of rain didn't help. I wanted to walk and find a path to go back to civilization, but I was too afraid of getting lost and accidentally walking deeper into the woods. For about 5 minutes, my plan was to sit somewhere as comfortable as possible, or lie down and sleep as much as possible. Then, I heard it. First, the leaves started rustling around the clearing. Then I heard a low growl that kept going while circulating where I was, and the rustling started gaining footsteps rhythm. My heart started going faster and faster, and I had no idea what to do. I couldn't see anything, so I was afraid running away from there would get me in even more trouble. But the alternatives were trying to climb a tree, possibly unsuccessfully, or just staying and hoping for the best. As I tried to control my panic and debated in my head what to do, the footsteps got closer and heavier. I started hearing trees move and crack, and the growling turned into a heavy, noisy breathing that clued me into the fact that this thing was bigger, much bigger than a horse. When I finally managed to see a silhouette in the middle of the darkness, I lost every ounce of courage I might have had until then. Whatever this was, it was skinny to a skeletal point, with a strange head shape and something big at the top. I moved slowly, but in a haunting way. I couldn't take it anymore. As one more step thumped right in front of me, I turned around, stumbled through the bushes, and took off running. As soon as I did, a horrifying screech echoed through the woods, making my hair stand on end and almost making me throw up. I ran as fast as I could for as long as I could, with the massive footsteps accelerating behind me. I had no idea if I should try to go up hills and get a better view of where I was, or down to find civilization. Were there people anywhere? All I could do then was wish for it, but I couldn't think, so I just ran until I tripped and landed on my face. Only then I realized that I couldn't hear the heavy footsteps behind me anymore. I pulled my face off the ground swiftly, sat as I cleaned my glasses with my shirt and put them back on. When I did, the first thing I saw was a massive skeleton face coming my way. I screeched louder than I ever even knew I could, and crabbed backwards until I hit something hard, panic completely overcoming me. When I finally hit something, though, I noticed two things. The first one was that the thing didn't follow me. Instead, it slowly dragged itself back into the tree's cover and vanished like it never even existed. The second thing was that now I wasn't in pitch dark anymore. There was a faint orange dancing light coming from right behind me. I stood up and turned around to find a small shack in the middle of the woods, with small torches all around the walls for light. There was a weak light coming from inside, and I felt my heart jump onto my throat when I realized there was a small face watching me from the other side of a thin glass window. The face was gone in the blink of an eye, and I heard the door cry open and closed, accompanied by scurrying footsteps rushing around the outside of the house, and a small voice following, asking me if I was okay. She took me inside, offered me soup, and asked me what I was doing around the woods at this time in the night. I explained everything to her and asked if she'd help me get back home. When she came back with a phone, I thought she looked familiar. Maybe a distant aunt or someone I knew might look a little bit like her. I tried to make the call, but the phone didn't seem to be working. She apologized and offered to walk me to the nearest road, her wrinkles forming a strange, shy smile on her face. When we stepped out of the house, I finally realized why she looked so familiar. She wasn't a family member or a friend. She was like an older version of the girl I met at the bar before I was knocked out and woke up in the middle of the woods. I looked at her to tell her, to ask her if she knew the girl from somewhere, and if she knew the girl was going around kidnapping strangers, when I'd noticed she had stopped and was staring me down from inside a circle of small candles surrounding her hut, with a massive unsettling smile on her face. Her hair was graying, and she was looking older and older, her wrinkles dragging her face down, the corners of her mouth becoming white with dried saliva, and her eyes going milky white, like she had just turned blind right in front of me. The worse she looked, the more she laughed, her bones breaking at odd angles, but somehow she could still stand. As I observed this gruesome scene in complete shock, the heavy footsteps came back, coming closer and closer every second. The last image I remember, before I took off running, was her, laughing maniacally as she dropped lower and lower to the floor, and whatever was chasing me before came back. I ran and ran, not stopping for anything, even if my lungs were close to exploding. I know now that I shouldn't have just randomly ran, and that doing it could result in something much worse happening to me. But I did manage to find the closest little town and call for help from there. I was in such a panic that I called my parents first instead of 999. All I wanted was to find someone who could help me, and my parents did. Once the police arrived, around 2 hours after I called them and when the sun was starting to come out, I took them to the place where I found her, and she was gone. Her place was empty, like no one had ever lived there, and I was making everything up. I was in complete confusion and stayed there, thoughts going wild, for hours, even after the police had gone. Just before I left, I found a single tip of paper sticking out from the floorboards. It was a set of instructions. I didn't know what it was for, because the explanation was probably in the previous page that was now ripped out. But one of the ingredients freaked me out. It said that the last thing that was needed was one person to be sacrificed unwillingly. That person, I realized, would have been me. Had I stayed out for 1 minute more than I did, I wouldn't be here today telling you about what happened to me. Thank you for being here and watching the full video. I hope you enjoyed the story and the narration. If you did, be sure to spook the like button. And if you subscribe to the channel, please comment below. I answer all the comments personally.